to call him Little Nicky during an interview, there's no telling. You could get slapped or, forearmed right across the jawbone.
Forearmed across the jawbone. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope not. I don't ever want that to happen. I don't want Little Nicky to do that. We've actually had good encounters with Little Nicky, other than the knee slap, and he didn't like that question, but we got over it. We've moved past it. We've interviewed him many times in person since that incident. I think we have kissed and made up, and everything is good. I think everything is cool.
Okay.
But that whole incident with it was you who sent that story. I mean, just what a clown. I mean, I'm sorry. First of all, have you ever heard me glow about Deion Sanders on this show? Never. Did I watch the 30 for 30? Yeah. Was I fascinated with him as an athlete? Yes. Have I been fascinated with him, meeting him in person at Super Bowls on Radio Row? No, I have not. I have not. So you've never heard me ever go over the top, say anything glowing about Deion Sanders. And now this, I'm not surprised. Let's just say that.
He's a showman.
I've been around him in person. I've seen how he operates in person. I'm not surprised at all. This just in. He really, really, and I mean really, did I say the word really? He really loves himself, okay?
No.
I know. I know that shocks everybody. But he really, did I say really? Yeah, I mean, he really loves himself. So, loves him some Deion Sanders. Yeah, that's what he is, Deion Sanders. It's who he is, Deion Sanders. Just what a silly thing to do. Way to punish your school, right? Because somebody called you by your name. Way to have everybody stop talking about your school and your players by getting up and leaving your media days because somebody called you by your name. That was a great move, Deion. I mean, so silly. So silly. We will check in with Chase McCabe in a little bit. Clark Lee is going to talk about 10:30. So we will have that for you. Tim Hasselbeck, because of his TV schedule, is going to move a little bit earlier today. So rather than high noon, he will be at 11 o'clock. We've got the Commissioner, Greg Sankey, coming on. We got a lot of things going on. Plus, tonight is the Seattle Kraken, the NHL expansion draft. So some things are starting to trickle out there. I don't know how much we're going to learn. I doubt we're going to learn a whole lot throughout the course of the day. Or do
just
you think
had
we
something
will?
come down. Oh, I think there's going to be quite a bit that leaks out. According to sources, this is Pierre LeBrun. This is the blue check mark. You do have to be aware of fake accounts today, just like the first day of free agency. The Kraken did not select Carey Price.
Mock Seattle Kraken drafts, and I can't tell you how many I saw with Carey Price.
I know. It was a sexy thing to put in a story, but really, when you read the tea leaves, I think there was a lot of mind games going back and forth, negotiations, poker between the Kraken and Montreal. But when you really just looked at it from a hockey standpoint and take the emotions out of it and take the, what could Carey Price offer as a story, you would never select a goalie making that much money at that age. I don't care how great the goalie was, but that much of an injury history. 5 years left. 5.
Yeah, no chance. So. I was stunned at all the people that – I mean, I get it. Carey Price just took the Canadiens to the Stanley Cup final, but I was still stunned at how many people were putting Carey Price on that Kraken list to be chosen. And I was like, really? Over $10 million a year for the next 5 years? Really?
Yeah, it really did not make any sense. Now, there have already been a couple of things that have broken. Frank Saravelli, who is with DFO Hockey, he's TSN as well. He was with TSN. He was with Philadelphia for a while, covered the Flyers. He's pretty good. They have zeroed in on Brandon Tanev from the Pens. Now, that's one where I wonder if that's with the idea of flipping him to another team, but we shall see. Because that's not a guy that popped up in a lot of mock drafts. But as we might find out, some of these people doing mock drafts, I think were just shooting from the hip. They really didn't have much inside.
No,
and the Kraken have not leaked anything.
No.
Anything. And so other things from Saravelli. that they're focused in on Yanni Gourde from the Lightning. That would make a lot of sense. He's really, really good.
And we talked about that on Monday's show.
Yes. The Bruins are making progress with Taylor Hall, and that's not a big surprise. Taylor Hall and Craig Smith actually played very well together when Taylor Hall went over there. So there's going to be some stuff that leaks, I think. The big question today will be, I think, when these rumors come out, are they thinking about this player for their own lineup, Seattle, or are they picking a player to then trade him to another team for something else in return?
By the way, Pierre LeBrun reporting that Seattle did not have any conversation with UFA Jaden Schwartz. There was also a lot of that going around.
That's a big name.
And they said nothing is materialized, and at this point it looks like all signs are pointing towards Schwartz hitting the free agent market.
Mm-hmm. He's an intriguing guy.
Sure. And you know what? If he's out of the Predators division, so be it.
I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that. He's a good player. Now, he's had his injury issues, but he's a good player. So we'll keep an eye on that. Throughout the day, I think there's going to be some more nuggets of info from the Kraken. And we should do this, too. Let's congratulate the Bucks last night for wrapping up the NBA season. Giannis,
the Pittsburgh Pirates, what did they do?
Not the Buccos, but it is interesting that the Tampa Bay Bucks and the Milwaukee Bucks are the champions in the same calendar year.
It's good to be a Buck. Huh?
Good to be a Buck. Not the Pittsburgh Pirate, though.
They're the odd man out there.
How about the battling Bucks from East Tennessee State? Did they have a good?
I haven't seen yet. I saw they won. They won. Did
they win any titles this year?
No, not that I know of. They got a team in the TBT, the basketball tournament.
Oh,
an alumni team that's like making a run.
Okay. Well, there's another chance for some Bucks to win a title. But how about Giannis? 50 points in the deciding game. That's pretty good.
5 blocks too.
Can't
forget 5 blocks.
12 rebounds.
He could have had about 7. 2 of those shots that he ended up blocking were, centimeters away from being goaltend. They're called goaltend, centimeters away from not being goaltend.
So he could have had 7.
He could have had about 7. Yeah.
And here's one thing, Darren, too. In a lot of games, these days, if a guy scores 50, you're kind of looking and saying, all right, points are up this year, right? There's a lot of games that end up 128, 120. That wasn't one of those last night. His team scored, 104, 106? And he had 50. Guy can play. There was a lot of critics on him. There was a lot of, he can't really shoot. What's the deal? He's got a title now. That's awesome. And with a small market team, a lot of people thought for a long time he'll never stay there, all that stuff. Great story.
Kirk Goldsberry tweeted today, it was the amount of points scored in the paint in this 6-game series. Giannis had 134. The next closest was Devin Booker at 62.
Oof.
That is Shaq-like, which 340 in 10 games in a final series is only done by one other player, and that's Shaquille O'Neal.
So that's another sport that has wrapped things up. There's no more majors in golf. The NBA is done. The NHL is done. And so a lot of off seasons has begun as we inch a little bit closer to the football season beginning. But right now, everybody else wrapping up their season. So, yes, congratulations. After falling down 0-2, the Milwaukee Bucks come back and take the next 4, and they win the NBA championship. So good for them. And they earned it. They were the better team. It's crazy how they got housed the first 2 games. It really wasn't that close. And then they just took over the series after that, which is pretty interesting. So congratulations to them. I was looking at the odds on next year. Who's the favorite to win the NBA championship? Anybody see that? Anyone?
I didn't look.
I saw it in the group text last night, so I'll not provide a spoiler.
I don't know if it was pretty close to exactly what we saw last night. Yeah, I guess it was. I guess that ended up being the same thing. I was looking at it like right before the show. The Brooklyn Nets are the favorite.
Wow.
To win it all next year, which when healthy, I don't think that's sticking your neck out, right? Not anything crazy.
But when healthy is a big question mark.
Well, even with 2 guys down, they were Kevin Durant being 1 shoe size smaller away from winning Game 7.
Yeah, Right. So, not surprised, but you're right. That's still a big if. The Lakers are the second favorite, and the Bucks are the third favorite to win the NBA championship next season. So, good by them. And, boy, a lot going on. It's going to be busy. Tonight, the expansion draft at 7 o'clock on ESPN2. We'll find out who the Kraken select. We will lock in our picks. Willie, I don't think you have. I've already put mine out there, so I'm not changing. So mine's been out there. We'll have to lock in our picks, who we think the Seattle will take from Nashville. You've got the draft Friday night, the first round, and then Saturday, rounds 2 through 7. So Friday and Saturday, the NHL draft. And then you've got free agency starting next Wednesday at 11 a.m. So a lot going on. And I mean a lot. And, oh, by the way, guess what else starts next week? Titans training camp.
Wow.
We're already there.
We're there.
We're there.
How?
This is great. This is the most exciting last 10 days of July ever in Nashville sports talk history.
Agreed. We'll come back, and at the bottom of the hour, we'll hear from Clark Lee. We'll see. We'll let him. We'll see how he does today. Josh Heupel made his first SEC Media Days appearance yesterday. We'll see how Clark Lee does. I thought Josh Heupel, I think you'd give him a, B minus?
I'd say
my grade.
I was going to say B. I didn't think there was anything wrong with how he did it. Why are you going down B minus?
I don't know.
Tough.
I mean, B minus. Okay, B. I mean,
B.
I'm okay with B.
Like A would be like a sparkling, make everybody laugh a couple times or say something really profound. He didn't do any of that, but other than that, I thought he was pleasant and he made an effort. He wasn't like, when do I get out of here? You know, I thought he was good. B.
Okay, B. You talked me into it.
Okay,
A B.
Good.
Let's
Wow,
go.
I never
with B.
talk you into anything. What's going on today?
You did. You just did it. No, that's incorrect. You just did it. I'm with you. Well, give him a B. I wish my teachers were that generous in school. You know what? You're right. I'll give you a B instead of a B minus. That never really happened to me. And we'll see how Clark Lee does. We'll also check in and find out what Alabama. Nick Saban putting out there one of his players, what he's made. That is what you're going to see. Coaches are going to be more than willing to tell you about players who sign big deals, right, are making good money, courtesy of NIL. That will not be a secret. And, by the way, Alabama, little Nicky did not shy away from their vaccination rate. So it feels pretty good about where they will be here coming up shortly, that they are one of the teams at the 80%, and he was willing to take it even further, that their numbers will continue to climb. We'll come back. More of Darren, Daunic, and Chase on the other side here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. You might want to check out Blue Raider Blitz. Yeah, it's rolling across the mid-state to a town near you, led by Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders football head coach Rick Stockstill. This community-wide event will be guaranteed fun for the whole family. Each of the stops will include food, ticket giveaways, and a chance to mix and mingle with MTSU coaching staffs, and, of course, Lightning. We know Lightning will be there. Today's stops include the GOAT in Mount Juliet from noon until 1:30 this afternoon, and then in Town Square in Shelbyville tonight from 6 until 8 p.m. For more information on where you can attend, go to BlueRaiders.com/tour. BlueRaiders.com/tour. Let's see who's paying attention. Let's see who's with us today. Let's see who wants to be a winner. Let's see, with no promotion. I didn't tell you, hey, hang with us sometime this hour. Let's just find out who's hanging in there. If you want to win some tickets to see Fish at Ascend Amphitheater on August the 3rd, which is just around the corner, you've got an opportunity to win a pair of tickets right now. Okay, but you have to answer this question. You have to tell Elijah the answer to this question. Alabama is one of the teams today down at SEC Media Days in Hoover. And they've got a first-year offensive coordinator, a new offensive coordinator. Imagine that. Little Nicky having to replace his coordinators. That's what happens when you have success. Your coaches get bigger jobs. They get promoted. Who is this year's offensive coordinator for Alabama? If you can tell Elijah at 615-737-1025, that's our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Who is this year's Alabama's offensive coordinator for Little Nicky? You'll go see Fish at Ascend Amphitheater on August the 3rd. Willie, do you know the answer?
Only because you texted me.
Oh, okay. So, see, you didn't.
I had my phone just went poof and just had the name on there, so I cannot honestly say that I knew that.
Dean, I cannot lie.
I cannot lie.
So jump in there. Let's see who's paying attention. Let's see who's paying attention.
For a certain cross-section of the population out there, Fish, that's pretty big. They have a following, a massive following.
Don't they have like a cult following?
Oh, my gosh. I think cult is kind of a harsh word, but
is it?
It kind of fits the bill, right? It's the people that kind of follow that group around.
Well, I mean, you refer to people who
years.
gamble as deadbeats, so, I mean, isn't that a little harsh?
Yes.
Degenerates is another word you like to use?
I never said degenerates.
Sure you have.
No, I don't think I did.
So, I mean, isn't that a little harsh? So the word cult is a little harsh for Fish fans with a P? Fish with a P?
Pafish?
Pafish? Pahish.
Pahish.
Pish. Pish. We had a really good conversation yesterday with Philip Myers, who is Predators' new defenseman, and fun guy. Enjoyed that conversation. If you haven't had a chance to hear it, well, we can maybe replay that for you, but you can always go check out our show, our audio vault that's always available. We're a live sports talk radio show that becomes a podcast the minute we leave the airwaves. So you can always go back and sift through and find our interviews. And that was a really good interview yesterday towards the end of the show. A guy that is looking for a really good opportunity. I think some of the things that we talked about in the past of what it would take. By the way, I want to give Mark Lazarus a little credit for this tweet. It did make me laugh. And now I need to I forgot to, dang it, stop the scroll. If you don't stop the scroll, you get lost.
I know exactly.
So here it is. It's a bummer. He just tweeted this in the last 5 minutes. It's a bummer that Seattle is apparently very smart. Mark Lazarus, who covers the Blackhawks. He tweets out, it's a bummer that Seattle is apparently very smart. This expansion draft would have been a lot more fun as hell if they were dumb.
I think he has hit the nail on the head because all of the fun names that they could have done, those are exciting stories, right? And I think that's why some people doing mock drafts, they got caught up in that stuff. For example, here's the latest from Frank Saravelli. The Kraken have passed on another high-profile name, Mr. Tarasenko. He will not be picked, and they're taking the guy that they logically should take, Vince Dunn. Cheap, really good player, big part of their Stanley Cup winning team, but always kind of overshadowed by the other defensemen on the team. and he was exposed. That's the guy they should take, really.
Mm-hmm.
Tarasenko would be a lot more fun if they were dumb, right? So the Kraken aren't dumb. They did their homework. Also, this is another one that's been heavily speculated. The Kraken are going to select Jared McCann, no relation to Paul or Zach McCann, from the Leafs.
That one I've seen out there as well. By the way, I saw mock drafts that had Tarasenko. I saw mock drafts that had Dunn, the correct answer, and who Seattle would take. Also, I mean, there's just stuff coming out all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
Hearing Mike Smith is returning on a multi-year deal.
Deer.
Congratulations.
Was he in the Deer District?
Congratulations, Milwaukee Bucks. Hearing Mike Smith is returning on a multi-year deal to the Edmonton Oilers.
Multi-year. He's like 56 years old.
That's what
He's coming back on the multi-year.
That's why I read it.
He did say there.
My next question was, how old is Mike Smith?
Golly, he's up there.
I think he actually is, 41?
Not quite that old. He wears number 41.
He's
Okay,
39.
I got
39, that. I think.
He'll be 41 at the end of this deal then, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I think that would be right. I think he's Pekka's age. He actually saved the Oilers' season last year. He's kind of a freakish athlete, one of those guys who is unconventional, but has always been good. But wow, that's an interesting move. The Oilers, there's no better. I don't know. Like they have to get rid of their other goalie too, Mr. Koskinen, who they spent big money and he's played awful. So that's another guy that they don't know what to do with. There's a lot of goalie musical chairs that are going to be going on because of this draft, for sure.
I feel very good about the direction of the St. Louis Blues. I really do. I feel very good.
As a Predator
going.
follower?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They got issues.
Yes. That's why, like I said, I feel very good about the direction of the St. Louis Blues. I think it's a scene from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. You're going the wrong way. What? What did you say? You're going the wrong way. And the Blues aren't listening because they're going the wrong way.
It's hard to keep, when you have a lot of good players, it's hard to keep them all together. It's not easy. And, of course, you do have to remember how the Blues arc went, right? They were a good team. Then they weren't so good of a team. And then all of a sudden, everything worked out right. It all worked out perfect. And then after that, they remained a good team, but they haven't been quite as good. Like, it's hard to win the whole thing. But was that a juggernaut for 5-6 years? No. And now pieces have gone away, right? No more Pietrangelo. Now, evidently, no more Vince Dunn. Issues with Tarasenko. Is the goaltender, Mr. Binnington, is he one for the ages, or was he a guy that just had a couple of nice seasons? That's his career could go in a number of paths.
Right. Was that just a nice run by him?
And not just a nice run, like
they
brilliant.
won the Stanley Cup, so
yeah.
You'll be forever remembered, but you won't be remembered really for much after that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just think about it in baseball terms. There's plenty of baseball pitchers that for 2 or 3 years were really good, were as good as anybody, but they aren't Hall of Famers. They aren't great for a decade.
Or we've had guys that had magical runs in the playoffs in baseball all the way through the World Series and really never did much. I mean,
sure.
Hell, it happened here with guys on the Predators roster in 2017. Who's kidding who? How much have we talked about Pontus Aberg since 2017, other than he changed his teams?
Well, history is full of guys like that who had huge contributions in a postseason run.
I mean, who led them in goals in the Stanley Cup final?
Mr. Freddie Gaudreau.
Freddie Gaudreau. How much have we talked about him since 2017?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, that happens in sports all the time. But it doesn't diminish what you did, right?
Because they have the ring, right? The Blues have their ring. They always will. But I think your point is well taken. They're going to struggle to. They're fighting to stay in the window. They're fighting to stay as a cup contender.
Congratulations, Chris Brady. You are a smart man. You were listening to this show, and you didn't even have to be prompted to do so. That was very smart by you. I didn't tell you, hey, we've got fish tickets just around the corner. Be listening. No, you were just listening, and you got rewarded. So go have fun at Pish concert at Ascend Amphitheater, or also known as Fish. We got a pair of tickets for you for saying Bill O'Brien is the new offensive coordinator at Alabama. So congratulations to Chris. The Commissioner Greg Sankey, who you will hear on these airwaves coming up at noon, is at the podium. Clark Lee is looking good. Let me just give you a radio description. He is looking sharp. Well-dressed man. Clark Lee is about to head up to the podium and do his first ever SEC Media Days. Vanderbilt will begin their season at home, just like most teams in the SEC. By the way, Alabama, when I was talking about them, they start off their season against Miami, so that's interesting. Did I see that? I'm just trying to go off the top of my head. Does Vanderbilt start off with UConn? Is that right, Willie, or did I just misspeak? Do you have that in front of you?
I just was peeking up at the monitor there. They showed some of it.
UConn, but I could be wrong. But anyway, we are going to head down to Hoover, Alabama.
University, Clark Lee. Well, good morning, and I just want to say that I wished, or I'd always dreamed that my football helmet would one day end up in a Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, since it's here, it means I didn't quite reach that level of performance, but glad to have my old headgear with me in my first Media Day experience. I want to start with thank yous. Obviously, a thank you to Commissioner Sankey for his leadership and direction. You can imagine transitioning as a new head coach, to have that rudder and that guidance is important. One of the interesting aspects of my transition has been to watch Commissioner and his team, coordinate, organize, and execute the efforts of our conference. It's a tall task, but it's easy to see why he's one of the leading voices in college athletics. So thank you, Commissioner. It's not lost on me to be here in person today. All the work that went in to get to this moment where we're returning to some semblance of normalcy. So a special thank you to frontline workers and medical personnel. The level of sacrifice, doing for others, putting themselves at risk. What a moment to think about all the things we went through over the past year, and to be on the cusp of a college football season with the prospect of SEC stadiums filled is a celebration. So I'd be remiss to not thank Chancellor Diermeyer and Candace Lee. Wouldn't be here without them. This trip to Birmingham is a life moment for me. This is a dream for any coach, and certainly wouldn't be here without their support. And then finally, just want to say to everyone here how much I appreciate your willingness to show up to tell our story. Before you're a coach and before you're a player, you're a young person, and you connect to this game through your voice, your lens, your pen. And so thank you for what you do for our game, and know that what you do is important. I have two players with me, Davian Davis and Bradley Ashmore. Both of these team members were early to buy in and embrace the change in our program. And they've earned the chance to be here today, and I'm thrilled to have them represent their teammates who are back in Nashville, hard at work, headed towards fall camp. These guys have come to embody what sacrifice, commitment, brotherhood means to us at Vanderbilt. I had the chance to have a conversation with David Culley, Vanderbilt football alum and head coach of the Houston Texans, yesterday evening. And one of the things Coach Culley said to me was, good teams are built at the line of scrimmage. And I'm excited to have two of our very best linemen for you to interact with and get to know today through this event. As a new coach, you dream of guys that are willing just to take the plunge with you, guys that don't flinch on the journey to what's possible, guys that take your vision, hold it true, and carry it to the team. And both Bradley and Davian have been incredible in that sense. What we've experienced in the last 7 months is rare, and that's this opportunity to completely redesign an environment. And really, in our redesign, there's been 2 objectives. The first objective is to redefine what it means to be a Vanderbilt football player. And specifically, we want to assign the value of membership in this tribe internally. We want to no longer allow for external influence to shape opinions about what we do and how we do it. The second objective is to build the best team in the country, the best team. And I think it's important in this point to recognize the fact that in this first iteration of Vanderbilt football, what we affectionately call in our building is Team 1, the overwhelming majority of players were recruited to a program that no longer exists. We are connected by chance, not so much by choice. And so necessarily, there's a need for process to alignment. That's important because to us, being a team isn't about the accumulation of talent. That's a part of it. But for us, it's more defined in, what each team member is willing to do for the next. What's the level of investment in each other? What's the level of care in each other? How do you add value to the experience of your teammate? Those are the things that we look at. It's the fusion of the individuals that we're after. This idea that we're channeling personal goals into a collective effort. And ultimately, we believe that there are like eternal verities or foundational truths about the being of team, embedded in the being of team. And so for us, we've been relentlessly focused as a program on stitching these truths into the fabric of what we're doing. And this is through our language, through our behavior, and through our work together. By taking control of the internal perception of this program, we found it's a newfound external confidence. So when you walk in our building, there's a different spirit, a different enthusiasm, a different energy that permeates the hallways that defines our work together. It's our ultimate belief that confidence doesn't originate at the result level, but rather it's a byproduct of process and preparation. So this team has a long way to go. And they're staring down a training camp that's going to introduce adversity at a number of different levels. We're going to find out a lot about who we are through the building and the growth of this team in fall camp. But it's all in preparation for what awaits us this fall. I'm excited for this team to learn to take preparation to performance. I'm excited to watch this team evolve as we reach for our potential this season. Finally, we design at the source at Vanderbilt, not at the surface. We're in lockstep with our university and our department in our commitment to providing an experience that's steeped in substance. We believe that this is the best student-athlete experience in the country. And our formula is simple. Everything we do is wrapped up in this identity that we're creating. And it starts with our focus on choices, on behaviors, on actions that strengthen the team. By strengthening the team, you're connected to purpose. Purpose connects you to confidence. And by confidence, I mean self-confidence, the confidence of belonging. When you have that level of confidence, it shapes your attitude, and attitude drives daily performance. And the aggregate of our daily efforts is what delivers us to Saturdays in the fall. And a trained team can take preparation to performance to reach for the desired outcomes. But for us, there are no cheat codes to winning. You can't simply hack your way to sustained success. We have to go the long, hard way. But we're going to do it together at Vanderbilt, and that's what's going to make this special. And so, again, I'm honored to be with you today, and with that, I look forward to answering any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Lee. If you have any questions, raise your hand. Peyton, Jessica, and Emma will get a microphone to you. Coach, we're going to start right in front of us, about 3/4 of the way back.
Hey, Clark, Robbie Weinstein, 24/7. What do you think, from your perspective, would constitute a successful season for your team, and how much do you focus on the win-loss record?
So won't place a win-loss record or won't state a win-loss record. Don't believe in doing that in any semblance. We'll say that every game that we play, we'll have a plan to win, and we'll measure the results off our execution of that plan to win. There are measurable things that show growth as a team, and there are things that can't be measured. And, you know, I think both are important, but in the end, I'm a competitor, and I didn't come to Vanderbilt to do anything other than win. And so for me, it's about how we design this team, how we design our tactics, how we develop as people and as teammates to put ourselves in the best position to win games in the fourth quarter. We can be the best physically and mentally conditioned team in the country. We can impose our will on the opponent late in the game. And the vision is that there's a fourth quarter game where we're on our sideline looking across the field at an opponent that is wilting under the pressure that we're applying, because we are the best mentally and physically conditioned team in the country, that we know on our sideline that we're ready to pounce. And we understand that their margin for error is so small because of the pressure that we're applying. And those are the kind of things that I'm looking for as we measure performance, as we get into the heat of this season, is that ability to find ways to win those games late.
Coach, we'll go over to our right-hand side on the near out.
Hey, Clark, Adam Luck at Kentucky Sports Radio. You made what some would consider an out-of-the-box hire, Barton Simmons, to kind of head your recruiting operation. What kind of value can a guy like that bring to your program with his background? And do you think that's something coaches will look to more in the future, guys in kind of the recruiting space?
Well, you know, for me, first of all, as to the value, I mean, I think Vanderbilt, we need to be authentically us. We need to be focused on what it means to recruit to Vanderbilt, what it means to develop a team at Vanderbilt. And so what I did not want in that role was anyone who was going to bring a cookie cutter approach. This is how we did it at School X. We're not looking to create a mini version of any other program in our conference in Nashville. Again, we want to be authentically us. And Barton, as an outside the box thinker, as someone who's connected to recruiting but hasn't been you know, immersed in a recruiting operation, gives us that opportunity. Barton's a friend. That's not why he's there. There is a trust level that you know, we default to because we've known each other for so long. He's incredibly smart. He thinks on his feet. He adapts, and he is growing in his role. If you can imagine going from being outside in the recruiting operation to being inside, there's a lot that goes into that has to be learned. But certainly we think it's the perfect fit. I'm excited not only with the results that we're getting right now in recruiting, but also how this projects forward. And I think that absolutely it'll be a trend in college football that will be followed.
We'll go right down front here on the left. Bob.
Hey Clark, Bob Holt, Arkansas Democrat Gazette. You know, a lot of times when a coach goes back to his alma mater, it's to kind of rekindle the glory days, like Steve Spurrier at Florida, Kirby Smith at Georgia. And I don't mean this as a personal reflection on you, but looking up the seasons you were there, pretty rough records. What do you remember about that time, and what about that made you want to go back to Vandy? Because I'm sure a guy with your success rate probably has had other opportunities or would have other opportunities to be a head coach.
Well, Bob, let me say first, there's no better program in the country than Vanderbilt football, so that's why I'm back. There's an unyielding belief in what's possible there. That's through my experience. We had, you know, as a competitor, the 3 years that I was there playing were the toughest 3 years of my career. And it was hard, but it was formative. And I watched Bobby Johnson methodically build that program into what became a bowl champion in 2008. I jump in with a little, I guess, an accelerated perspective. You know, I know the intricacies of what that program is about, how it fits within our university, what the recruiting profile should look like, and where the resources are. And so for me, it's seizing the opportunity that we have to build something different, to give this program a chance to be at its potential. You know, I didn't return home to like have a homecoming. I honestly, you know, I thought that your opening remark was going to be a statement to like my whatever I have, 4 catches for 27 yards in my career, whatever it was. But in the end, this is about the belief in the student-athlete experience. For me, this is a belief. There are only so many programs in the country where you can truly go to a family and say, hey, there are no compromises here. I mean, we talk in our building about being directed to 20 years, your ultimate success 20 years from now. And when I say that to my team, I share with them that I was in those seats 20 years ago. And so there's an incredible binding and messaging when you're at your alma mater. The fact that we are at the best school in the league and the best city in the league, and there's this convergence of resources and leadership at our university, to me, this is the time to strike. And we don't apologize for being Vanderbilt. It's not, I mean, our expectation is to win. Hey, look, everything takes time to build to its potential, but smart people figure things out. And so we're going to grip the bat, take our swing for the fences, and we're very proud of what we represent, and we're proud of what we're going to sustain over time at Vanderbilt.
Coach, we'll go back over here to the right-hand side in the middle.
Hey, Coach. Travis Brown of the Bryan College Station Eagle. Curious what Mike Elko meant to you in your development as a coach, and if there's any philosophies or techniques or anything you learned from him that you bring to your role now.
How much time do we have? Because Mike, Mike's a dear friend. Mike, I connected with Mike at Bowling Green, was with him there for 10 months. Back to Wake Forest with him, and we left together to go to Notre Dame. We were at Notre Dame for a year together, and he obviously left to go. In my 3 seasons with him, I learned more football than I ever could imagine. He's a guy that there's a shared ethos, a respect for people, a respect for the players, a certain style of coaching that has lifetime impact. Mike, I can't say enough good about Mike Elko, who he is as a person, who he is as a tactician. He's the smartest football coach that I know. And everything that I do at some level goes back to the work that we did together under Dave Clawson. So very high respect for Mike.
Coach, we'll go back over here on our left on the front row.
Hey, Clark, Vince Ferrara, 99.1, the sports animal in Knoxville. Can you describe the evolution of recruiting talent in the state of Tennessee? Obviously, the population explosion in Nashville, and improving and increasing in the eastern part of the state as well.
Well, a lot's changed since I was in high school. Obviously, I mean, it's the level of football has improved. The population base, like you mentioned, has gotten bigger. I mean, it's a fertile grounds, and we have to do a great job of being first in our backyard. And look, not everybody is going to be a fit for us, and that is what it is. But we need to make sure the guys that are looking for a place like Vanderbilt, again, a place where there are no compromises to be made, that I want to achieve at a high level on the field. I want this to be a football decision for recruits. And it will be, because we'll have the best developmental program in the country. Again, every system that we design is built to drive a player to his potential. And so, but also guys that want Vanderbilt want to know that in 20 years, they're not in a we don't use the word fallback plan in our building. There's no such thing. To me, it's a plan to launch to your impact long term in life once you're done with football. And that could be a 10-year career, and you could be 30 years old, and your life and your impact is just starting. And so Vanderbilt's a place that will develop that person as well as the player to its highest level. Those guys that exist in our backyard, both in Middle Tennessee and then obviously, as you mentioned, the eastern part of the state, and then the western Tennessee, which has always had strength. Those guys that are out there need to know that Vanderbilt's coming after them, and we're excited to build a program that they'll be proud to stay home and be a part of.
Coach, we'll go right down in front of us, about 4 rows back.
Hello, Coach. How you doing?
Good.
Gerard Hamilton, Tuscaloosa News. Vandy finished second in total offense and then last in points per game. You brought in your new OC, David Ray. Is that how you?
Rye.
I'm sorry, David Rye. What are some of the conversations you guys are having about boosting that offense and rejuvenating it?
We haven't paid a lot of attention to what we were, because everything changes when you change systems. So it's more about the focus on what we will be. And we need to design around matchups. This is about how we use formations, motions, tempo to create pressure on the defense, to get the matchups that are favorable to us. every play needs to be a design, and we need to have a reason for why we're to me the impact a defensive coach can have on offensive structure, because ultimately we know what gives us problems, and designing around that can unlock performance within an offense. But embedded in your question is situational work too, finishing drives with 7 points, so on and so forth, all of which are part of the philosophy that we're bringing and the mindset that we're developing within the program.
Coach will go in the center section alongside the right aisle.
Is real, and so everything that they confront needs to be different, and we can't be afraid to be drastically different. And so you can't know